All right, you guys, peace and blessings. This is Unplug 'em once again with the third installment, and prayerfully the last part of the spelling spell, the curse of cursive. Father, guide my tongue, guide my mind, guide my heart to be in alignment with your will. I am eternal. It is so. Let truth reign. Okay, we were talking about the power in the consonant sounds, which gives you what a lot of people are calling Kemet, the ancient name of Egypt, or what the ancient Egyptians called Egypt. What you find is KMT, and people are putting the E's in there. Well, we know that the ancient letter sound was A, and we're going to jump right into that and show you why. A is the alpha, the first, and we're going to show you that. If you want to see the breakdown of these words that you see on your screen, you will want to look at part 2, where I broke this down. And in the interest of time, because I got a lot of stuff for you guys right now, we got 30 minutes, but watch how fast it's going to go. I'm not going to go back over this page again, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys what level we're dealing on. And we stopped down in here. We talked about California, the word California. The power in words is what this is really all about. And the fact that we speak a language that's filled with cursed and spelling or magic words. California, God of destruction, or I am Porne, God of destruction, is what California means. So you got a bunch of different songs like Look at California by Maze. Maze is represented by the six-fingered hand. That's their logo, which is directly related to the Hindu fallen ones, who we find represented in the Bible as some of the giants or the Nephilim in the Bible. One king, I believe it was a king of Bashan, if I'm not mistaken, he's even mentioned that he has six fingers on his hand. But Maze, like a lot of groups in that era, they were familiar with some of the teachings of the New Age and the Aquarian Age. Okay? So you find California Dreaming. You find California Love with Tupac and Dr. Dre. You find Leon Ware's That's Why I Came to California. And you find occult references in all of these songs if you know what you're looking for, because of the importance of California to this Luciferian system, this country established by Luciferian means. You find California is a important part of that. It's where Hollywood is and where the illusions come from. The City of Angels, Los Angeles, the Lost Angels. Wow. And of course, we know so many people go out to California every day. Buses and planes go out to California with young people who are willing, and sometimes not knowing, to sell their soul in order to gain fame. And then we ended with love and evil. And for those of you who have seen the stuff about the Illuminati and old school R&B, for those that have seen the things about the Illuminati and old school R&B music, I wanted to kind of show you guys exactly why they call it love song, because the phonetic backward spelling of love is E-V-O-L. And we know Vincent Price says E-V-I-L, the way we spell it, evil. Only Vincent Price says it like that. You and I, we say evil, E-V-O-L, just like the word love backward. And that relates to, I don't know if you remember the old song Love's Gonna Get You by Boogie Down Production, but it was talking about the material love of this world. And when you hear a love song, that's what you're hearing, a song about the material love of this world, even if it's being expressed to a woman or a man. But I maintain that most of the time, it actually has nothing to do with a woman or a man. It only has to do with the love of this world, pride of life, love of all things Luciferian. So, you have the phone ad for a new phone. I forget who exactly put it out. You guys will know. But Evo was the name of the phone. But they added L-O-V-E at the end of the ad, at the end of the name of the phone, so it would be E-V-O-L-O-V-E, which is the same word forward and backward like Xanax, like I showed you guys in part 1 of the spell of spelling. Evil love was to show you how both love and evil are the same words. You just have a forward-backward spelling trick going on, and you find oftentimes in satanic teachings, not only do they turn records backwards, but they also turn words backwards. They turn logos backwards if you watch the Nike Newport series. And Ron Paul had a campaign slogan, evolution. And again, he had this part spelled exactly like that in the lution at the end in lowercase letters to show you the word love backward. And that's the reversal of love. The reversal of love is the opposite of love. So again, it's evil, and you see it right there in the spelling, the phonetic spelling. Love backward is evil, but it's not the actual feeling, the actual emotion. We are calling it what we know what to call it in the language that we're given, and we're spelling it the way we were taught to spell it. But we know, like in Hebrew, you have a hava. There are more powerful and proper ways to express that emotion in words. But the way that this language is designed, the Satanists who designed it, put it chock full of trickery, such as this, like you find with God and dog, and we talked about that in part 1. So, my Macmillan's Children's Dictionary that my mom got me when I was a little guy, on each page it started out with A and B and C and so forth. It showed you the progression of letters, what it started off looking like and what it ended up looking like. And overwhelmingly, all of the letters were turned the other way or upside down. Here's a great example with A, Aries. The way we write it now, if you turn it upside down, you see very clearly that it is a ram's head. See the ram horns right there? You see that's the chin of the ram, and if you could put the two little eyes right there, you see, wow, you have a ram's head. Actually, what the A symbolized was a ram's head, and it's no coincidence that A is the first letter, and the very first sign is Aries, and it's number 1 in Alpha, which also begins with A and ends with A, Alpha. Okay, B we know is a symbol that is really representative of 13. It's a 1 and a 3 real close together with no space together in between it. That's what the B is. And 13 stands for rebellion, so you'll often find the B used in the symbolism with the secret societies, because Lucifer, we know, led the rebellion in heaven, and he is the rebellious one. And so you find this B or this 13 oftentimes used in quote-unquote Illuminati logos, such as this makeshift logo of the Arby's hat and this makeshift logo of the McDonald's M with the underline. When you turn them both that way, you see that clearly, you see this is a 13 and this is a 13 as well. And so you find this throughout business worldwide, but especially here in the center of Babylon, you find these things more prevalent. Okay, now C is short for cipher or circle, and it's half of a circle, because if you cut a C right down the middle, you put that line right down the middle there, you see that you have a half circle, like a half moon, and that's what the C represents, the half cipher. Some say C stands for cipher, but you see it's not a complete circle. A cipher means circle. Okay, the D and the T, you find it interchangeable throughout the Egyptian. When you find Tehudi, the older spellings starting with D, Jehudi, or Dejeti, where they actually get the word Jedi from. The D and the J being combined together to produce a hard sound like the T. Okay, but the original D, and I know the letter delta has its occult significance. Freeman Fly did a great expose on that. When someone has already done it, I try not to do it again. But just in short, the delta is an important letter in conjuring of Hebrew magic, and that's what the D comes from, the delta of Greece. Well, you have E and A. Now, this is important because as we get into the religious names, the names of God, or the names that people call God, you're going to find importance in this E and this A, because we know that it's the hard sounds, again, the consonants that really matter. Those are the ancient letters. And you have the vowels, which are the inserts, to connect the hard sounds and to help make it permissible for cavemen who spoke in grunts to learn how to speak using these hard consonant sounds. Vowels were brought into play. Ah, E, I, O, U, A, E, I, O, U. And then, of course, we have the F and the P. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Fornication, porne. Porne is a demon spirit, the demon spirit where you get the word pornography. And pornicate. That's how it was actually said before. Pornication. Pornicate. Fornication. Fornicate. Pornography. Same thing. Same root. And if you notice, if you just put a little hump at the front of this F, you're going to get a P. Take the little hump off the front of the P, it's an F. So you have some of the same letters repeating. We have 26 letters in our system, and most other letter systems, the ancient letter systems that are untainted with Masonic spelling symbols inserted in, those ancient systems are based on numerology, based on a numerical system. And generally, you have 10 letters that's based upon, for the or 9 for the 10 or 9 original numbers. Then, of course, we have the G, the K, the Q, another hard sound. If you notice, in Colonel Muammar Gaddafi's last name, there's controversy between whether the last name should start with a G, should start with a K, or should start with a Q. So you spell Gaddafi with a G, you spell it with a K, you spell it with a Q. All three I've seen on news networks. I mean, major news networks have used all three in conjunction in spelling his name, the first letter of his last name. And those of you who may know some Muslims by the name of Kwan or Fuquan, you also will find this too. Sometimes the K is used, sometimes the Q is used. It's the same sound. And I maintain that Q is the counterfeit, G is the counterfeit, and K is the real deal, because you can trace K back to ancient Kemet. So that's the sound that you get a copy of in the G, which is only symbolic of the compass and square. The Masonic G was inserted in much later. And we also find G masquerading really as a J sound, or sometimes a Y sound, and then of course Y is I. So, yep, we're going a little bit faster on this one. Oh, I neglected this one. S, very important. S, you see, most letters used to be pictures. S is a great example of that. What does it look like to you, boys and girls? And S has a shape that's similar to the sound that it makes. Well, it looks like a snake, because S used to be an actual symbol of a snake. And this is where you get the sound from. All right, and S is key in certain things that have to do with the so-called evil one, or Shaitan. That begins with an S. Sin begins with an S. Sex begins with an S. And again, it's the shape of the snake that we find in the S. All right. All right. Now, this is a little something, a little treat here. We're going to get a little bit into the religiosity and different religious beliefs and how spelling plays a part in that. Well, we have the word angel. Angel, which is ang of L, comes from England. The Anglo-Saxon is, of course, the original man from England. We now call it England. This is proof to you that A precedes the E. Keep that in mind as we get into Yahweh next. The A comes before the E. The A was in use first, then comes the E. England was England because it was the land of the Anglo-Saxon. It was Ang-land, their land, the Anglo's land, Ang-land. So, when you find Angel, Anita Baker Angel, and what's her name, Renee and Angela Wimbush, Angela Wimbush, Angel. Also noted in my documentary about the old school in R&B, Angel is Ang of L, or Anglo of L. So it's a way of putting a racial, right, and also angle, very good. And it's a way of putting a racialism to a spiritual concept. An angel, or a malaki, a malak, is actually what we're trying to define, but you're putting a specific race and ancestry on it when you say angel, which is why most pictures of angels are of white angels. And of course, this is because the way of the world, the way of Lucifer is to create division among the races and to take things out of their natural place, to divide and conquer and mess up the natural order in nature. So again, we do not ascribe to any racialism whatsoever, but we do understand how it is used, and we have to be able to talk about it and break it down to break through it and not be under its spell. All right, now we have now we see the A and the E, very important when we get into the religious aspects of different religious words and names. The A and E, and they're very important, but also the Y and the I. And the J, as I know some of you know, who may have been preaching to folks that they can't use the word Jesus because there was no J in Hebrew and so on and so forth, as I once did in my ignorance, not understanding that there's a power beyond this etymology and beyond this spelling, and that the Most High Almighty Creator that we serve is much deeper and harder to figure and put in a box than Daniel and Noah Webster would ever be able to do. And so despite their best efforts, despite the language's most confusing and best efforts to hide certain realities from you, those realities still come out through your spirit. And just like you may have a nickname, or there may be something that people call you that is not your proper name, you know how to answer to it. Well, you better believe that Yeshua HaMashiach has as much sense as you, at least. So though his name may not have been Jesus in the Hebrew, and there was no J in Hebrew, do you think he won't come when your grandma say Jesus because she never read that? Well, that would make God a respecter of persons, and we know he's not that. That would mean that those who are educated have a better chance of salvation, and that would, again, make him a respecter of persons. And if you know anything about his story, you know that cannot be. So that makes absolutely no sense. So stop saying that to people. All right, system and paralysis. You see, again, the ISIS, the Y and the I. This is the main thing I want you to gather from this, is that the original I is Y. Okay? Why? Why is the key. Why? What's the question that a kid can ask endlessly? What's the question that leads to answers? Why? Well, Y happens to be the first letter of the Creator's name as we know it now. Now, I understand that there's a lot of teachings now about Ahaya. When I first got into the Hebrew, I didn't hear anything about Ahaya. I'm yet looking into it, and I'm not against it, because we still find the Yah, the hard sound, the dominant part of that tonology. If Ahaya is right, then we still have the Yah that we find throughout Hebraism as the name of God, or as the I am portion of I am eternal, Yahweh. Okay, system and paralysis. Just another example of how this SYS and SIS is the same thing. Same sound, same thing. Okay? Let's keep it moving. Got a lot to cover. All right, walk-ins welcome. This is a trip, and really I need to do a whole teaching just on this by itself. This please don't let this take up our last 10 minutes, because we need to get to the religion part. But this is important. You see all these double words. Sirhan, who was the assassin involved in Robert Kennedy's murder. Duran, a rock and roll group in the 80s. Mary, a perpetrating gospel group today. Tony, an old R&B group. Philip Phillips, who won American Idol last year, or whatever year it was. I was doing my Spirits in the Machine documentary, because ironically, when I was doing this portion of my documentary, talking about these double names and how it's symbolic of MK Ultra, the mind control program, they use these double name individuals to symbolize that they are now two people instead of one. They've been effectively possessed, and so I maintain that they give them the double name because of that and after that. And walk-ins welcome? No. A walk-in is another name for a demonic entity or an extra-dimensional entity who can come into your body. And through MK Ultra mind control, they hollow out an individual so that they can fill them with a spirit and create a duality thing, a double of them, a doppelganger, a clone, however you want to look at it, but they end up walking around as a double, two people, duality, bipolarity, excuse me. And so you see this also in Scotty Scott, the twin lead singer of a group called The Whispers, who first came out on a label called Scepter and Wand. Scepter and Wand, I maintain, is a label that has produced a lot of this songwriter's secret, or this which language music. They also produced Ashford and Simpson, who wrote a large number of these double meaning songs and got lots of Grammys for songwriting because of it. Simone Simon, a star in the cult classic Cat People. MK Ultra, mind control slave actress, no doubt, operating under sex kitten MK Ultra beta programming. Okay, it's all Greek to me, confusing. There's an expression that people use when they don't understand something. They say, well, it's all Greek to me. That has to do with the confusion behind the Greek language, or what the Greeks were teaching by way of language. And that's a Greco-Roman thing, because we know from out of Greece came Rome, the most powerful society that oftentimes the New World Order is trying to emulate, either an Egypt or a Rome thing. And we know about the Pope and his devilment and how he rules in Rome. Well, it's all Greek to me, which meaning confusion, and God is not the author of confusion. So this double word thing, this double name thing, goes back to this deity, Janus, a twin deity. The two-headed deity you've seen, there's a company, I believe it's a financial company, that advertises. Sometimes when you guys are watching the football game, you will see a commercial for Janus. And it's a company, I believe it's some sort of investment firm, and they're symbolized by the twin deity, the two-headed deity. Please excuse and ignore the phone, as I'm trying to do too. But Janus, the twin deity, is where we get the word January, where we get June, where we get Jin, where we get genie, where we get genius, and where we get Gemini, which happens to be the sign of June. And Gemini is symbolized by the two faces. And Janus, Gemini, June, and the two faces, the double mind, the confusion, all going together here. The movie Face Off, you can find aspects of that where Travolta and Nicolas Cage, two Illuminati mind control actors, switch faces and identities. It's about the switching of identities, the multiple personality thing that is truly possession, what you found in the movie and book Sybil. Okay, the two faces, the two persons, split personality. I found it interesting, Facebook. The movie Facebook, excuse me, the movie Social Network was by and large about Facebook and its founder. And in the movie, it is alluded to that Mark Zuckerberg, who we credit with creating Facebook, actually got the idea from some twins. And instead of having two twin actors, instead of having a twin brother set of actors play this role of these twins, the Winklevoss twins, which may not even be real people, folks, when we look at how this is done. But instead of having twins play the Winklevoss twins, they had one guy whose face they sampled and put on another guy's face. So you have two different actors, two actors that are not brothers, playing twins, in order to get this duality thing on a deep level in the movie Social Network. I'm glad I saw that movie just for that reason, because other than that, I thought it was a bold movie. Okay, Beyonce, Sasha Fierce thing is what we're talking about in possession, the duality, the two faces. Go back over this page again, because trust me, you're gonna find examples of this all throughout pop culture. I just put a few, but it has to do with the forward-backward thing that Satan likes to do, and it has to do with his mimicking of God, and it has to do with his need to create another you in order to not just possess you, but to totally take you over. And once you create that other you, look at all of the names that people put on Facebook. Instead of somebody saying their name is Earl Jackson, they'll say Earl getting money every day, never love a B Jackson. So you become a whole nother personality once you get on Facebook, and that's one reason why I've stopped going on there, and you won't find me on there any longer. Now, if you deal with Yahweh, now we got 5 minutes. We're going to try to get this in there. If you deal with Yahweh, the W in Yahweh, the Yah is the I am, the way is supposed to be the eternal, okay, and that's the most popular translation. We know there are others, but the W is really a double V. When the scribes were writing, the V, the two V's, the Vav, there's no Wah, there's a Vav in ancient Hebrew, but no Wah. This is a modern day interpretation that comes from the scribes getting lazy in their writing, and instead of making the pointed V in writing fast in cursive style, they began to make it hump. And this created another letter, another sound. And this is where you get your W and your U, both false letters, W and U. There's no U to double, so they're both false. It's double V. In French, double is how you say double U. So you even find in the Latin languages, there's evidence that there was no U or W. So it cannot be Yahweh. Now, we just learned on the previous page is A, not E. A is the ancient vowel, the vowel that you will find going back to the languages of antiquity. First and foremost, the A, the alpha, the beginning. So that is the letter that we want to put between the hard sounds of YHVH. That's what we all know the name to be, YHVH, right? But you're saying Yahweh. Why? Okay, it's Yahva. YHVH are your hard sounds. Your Y, your H, your V, your H. You find it in Jehovah. The Jamaican brothers say Jah. They even remove the E in Jehovah and put an A there and say Jah. But we know there's no J, so it's Yah. O is a connecting letter in Hebrew. It's used to connect ideas. To say Barack Obama is to say lightning falling from heaven, like you find in the book of Isaiah. And the O is, again, it's a connecting letter, a connecting factor. So you can take it out, and you find Yah and Va. Okay, I am eternal. Positive and negative. Or, as they say, going back to Sumerian in some teachings, Yah, good, and Va, bad. But again, we know it's just the polarity, the bipolarity of the natural world, of the Creator himself, who has to exhibit both night and day, sun and moon, male and female, negative and positive. He causes it to rain and to shine. So that is the name, Yahva. Now, let me see. I had one more, I believe. Looks like we're going to get it all in.
Amen.
Praise be to Yah.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. And I'm here with my lovely teacher, spiritual mother, and pastor, Sharon Campbell. And she's going to be guesting on my page sometimes, and she has her own page that she's going to be putting up, and I'm going to refer you guys to that because I've learned a great deal about the apostolic teaching and the way of holiness from this mother of Zion and from this queen. And I owe her eternally for that. And I know you'll be blessed to meet her. So now let's go into these words. Allah and Elo. Now, you guys get off the Muslims' backs. You're bad as those that's always talking about the young people in rap or heavy metal, and you won't look at your R&B. You're being too judgmental here because clearly, first of all, we're talking about the people that pray 5 times a day. How many times a day do you pray? Secondly, we're talking about the people that follow the Levitical laws by eating halal, which is nothing but kosher. Okay? And thirdly, we're talking about a people that this Luciferian nation has been at war against now since I was in high school. So there's something that they're doing right. But again, there's something that they're doing wrong. Like a lot of Christians don't know their Bible, a lot of Muslims don't know their Quran, and there's different things that they say about the Messiah that really go in line with what is said in the Bible, in the Quran. But again, you can look at this. You can see it for yourself. Allah is Elo. Elo backwards is holy. El Elo. Allah. El Elo. Look at that. Holy backwards. Yellow. Elo. Same word. Holy. See it? Holy.